Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. We have a beautiful snow day today, the first snow of the new year in my neck of the woods, and Lily was certainly enjoying it today. And I thought I would do a video for my first haul of 2020. Now, I did tell myself, it was one of my resolutions, that I wasn't going to buy as many books, that I was going to check out books from my own library because I have so many books. But then I went to the Christian thrift store and all hell broke loose because I just found some treasures. So I'm going to share with you today what I bought. Most of these came from a thrift store, which is in the upper county of where I live. And I don't know, the Christian thrift store always seems to have a lot of horror treasures. Now, I find it hard to find good horror in thrift stores, and you have probably come across the same problems. I'm not really sure it's because they want to keep like newer titles in and they just kind of throw out the old ones. But library sales and most of the thrift stores I go to in my area anyway, I haven't found too many, but except for this one place. So let's see what I got. Now I will also do close-ups, so we'll show the covers and everything because I know you guys like to see that. Okay, so I kind of hit a Robert Jordan a mother lode. So here is book 5, The Fires of Heaven. Here is book 7, A Crown of Swords. Are they still making a series of this? I think it's going to be fun to watch it when it comes out. Right now I'm really into The Witcher. In fact, I kind of abandoned Robert Jordan to read the Witcher books, but I will do a whole other video about The Witcher. Anyway, this one is book 9, Winter's Heart. Well, I skipped, but this is book 8, The Path of Daggers. Anyway, you could spend a year reading Robert Jordan books, but I probably won't do that, but I will. I like having them, and I like stacking them on my shelf, and eventually I will get around to reading all of them, I promise. All right, so, but no rush. So the next book I picked up is another V.C. Andrews. This is Into the Garden, the 5th novel in the thrilling Wildflowers series. So this one has great cover art, and when you open it, it almost looks like a Santa's workshop of evil girls. I should do like a whole V.C. Andrews video because I have a lot of these books and I never really got that organized where I set them up in the series, but maybe I'll do that today. You know, it's a winter day, it's snowing outside, why not? Okay, this is Fury, not The Fury, by, I believe, John Farris, but Fury, You Die, It Lives Forever, by John Coyne, I think is how it's pronounced, Coyne. I should know that because that's actually one of my family names back in the Irish gene pool. It's a little blurb from Stephen King, never hurts. Coyne plays rough. He goes as far as you can go and then takes it a mile farther. Okay, this looks good. I'm sure some of you guys know this. I don't know this book. This came out in 1985. It looks like one of, it would fit right on the shelf with my paperbacks from hell. All right, this was also from the Christian thrift store. This was a pure cover by Warrior and Witch. When a witch is born, a doppelganger is created. For the witch to master her powers, the twin must be killed. Until now. I thought this was horror, but it looks like it's actually fantasy. I don't know, it might be kind of fun. All right, this one, I've seen this book before, but I've never read it. This is The Swarm by Arthur Herzog. A masterpiece of chilling terror that just might come true. The best since The Andromeda Strain. Well, I have read The Andromeda Strain. And something I do enjoy about going to, not just at thrift stores, but anytime you buy a used book, is sometimes you find interesting things. Like this is a Pope John Paul II little mass card. I guess when he passed on. This book has not been even cracked. I guess it's like a killer bee story, 1974. So this next few books I did not get at the Christian thrift store. This was from my local secondhand bookstore, which doesn't have a great horror section. So it kind of speaks of the lack of respect that the horror genre gets, because in that store, the shelf with the horror section is really cramped between these romance stacks, and you almost feel like it's going to topple over and you're going to be, covered by an avalanche of Nora Roberts or something. And it just kind of annoys me when I go there, because it's a very unsatisfying experience anyway. So when I go there, after doing a little sweep of the horror section, which is always kind of disappointing, it's always the same, like Dean Koontz, Anne Rice, stuff that I already have or don't want, I go to the fantasy section. And I found a nice set. Now, this isn't the complete set because I did a little research, but it's a fantasy series by Michael Moorcock. And I just bought these for the fabulous covers. So if any of you guys know more about this series or this writer, let me know in the comments below, because I'm pretty interested now that I found these. And maybe I'll start reading them along with all this other stuff. So the next one I picked up was a book that I do have, but it has a different cover. And I've seen this cover too, so I thought I'd grab it and maybe I'll keep it or save it for the next giveaway. I did a video for my Slow Burn Sunday series about the film, which I really love, so I will definitely read this one sometime soon. Well, I've been into the gothic romance books for a while, mostly the paperback, which are really hard to find, but I've been picking up some of these old hardbacks. So I found this one. Someone in my comments on one of my videos mentioned Victoria Holt. I've heard of this author a lot. I don't know if I've ever read any of her books, or maybe it's a guy with a female pen name. I don't know. It could be Dean Koontz for all I know. But I picked this up at the thrift store for like $1. This book I found, ironically, at the Christian thrift store, and that's A Devil's Knot by Mara Leverett. It's the story of the West Memphis Three. I remember watching this documentary, probably over 10 years ago, and I was pretty fascinated with the case for a while. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. I've heard of this book, and I couldn't resist picking it up. Okay, so this one's a little off the beaten path because I mostly read horror, as you know, but I couldn't resist this when I saw it in the thrift store, and that's Summer of 42 by Herman Rauscher, or Rauscher. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but this is a nice copy with a dust jacket. So this was one of my favorite books when I was a teenager. Summer of 42. I loved Harold Robbins' books, Raunchier the Better, Jacqueline Suzanne, and this one. And I don't know, maybe I'll reread it. It's a great summer book. It's a great beach read. All right, this one I found at the Christian thrift store, and I had a copy of this when I was a child, so I just had to get this. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. There's also a great movie that I watched as a kid that I loved. So, I don't know, maybe I'll read this. I love to dip into my old children's books, books I loved as a kid, and kind of revisit them. I know I'm not the only one, but this is a really nice version. And speaking of childhood favorites, I also found another Alfred Hitchcock book, Alfred Hitchcock's Ghostly Gallery. I loved these books when I was a kid. Again, I think it was more like a library book, but I found another one in the summer, and I was really happy to get this one. Now this, the dust jacket I might just get rid of, because the dust jacket on this one is in really bad shape, so I think I might just, I don't know, put that away somewhere, because it already has a great cover. Even the back cover is really cool. Okay, next up, The Penguin Book of Vampire Stories, edited by Alan Ryan. So I noticed just from looking at the table of contents that it has a lot of the same stories that my vampire lore and legend have, which is Polidori and Carmilla. So this is great to have. I really have a nice vampire collection going. Okay, I'm getting near the bottom, I promise. I don't read a lot of cozy mysteries. I mean, once in a while, but one series that I love is the Archie McNally series by Lawrence Sanders. Now, I've read all of the books, including the ones written by Vincent Lardo, who took over this series, and I really, really love this series about the Archie McNally, who's this kind of playboy detective living in Palm Beach. And all the books are very formulaic. They all kind of are the same, like any cozy mystery, but there's just something about his character and the way Lawrence Sanders writes that I really love. And the Vincent Lardo ones are good too. So I picked this one up for $1, and then when I got home and I was looking at it, I gasped. So it is signed by Lawrence Sanders. So that was pretty cool. So I was really happy to find that book for $1, signed by one of my favorite authors. I also picked up Lawrence Sanders' The 10th Commandment. He has a whole other series, and there he is. I really, really like him and his persona and the way he writes. And I have not read this one. I haven't read the Commandment series, so maybe I'll do that. Now, I was really hoping that when I got home and opened this, that it would have a Stephen King signature, in which case I would have screamed. It doesn't, but this was lovely, lovely first edition copy. And I checked all of the markings, including the wrong date on the back and the little symbol on the last page or whatever. Now, I already have a copy of this, so same thing, first edition with the dust jacket. So maybe I'll do a giveaway with this coming up. This is a collector's item. So whenever you can find a good copy of an early King first edition with the dust jacket, buy it. I'd have a whole video on my Stephen King collection. Oh, I do have one more book. This is The Blood of the Covenant by Brent Monahan, author of The Book of Common Dread. A tale of unholy passion and unearthly surrender. Oh, this is a local author because I live near, oh, and it's signed, Brent Monahan. And it has the author's name and a phone number. Should I call him? Or maybe I'll have Batilda call him, and then he'll really get scared. So I'm definitely going to spend some time today on this snowy afternoon putting my shelves together and organizing things, especially my V.C. Andrews section, and maybe I'll just do a whole separate video about that. So that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my first haul of the new year, and I will see you next time in my haunted library. Bye.